Hello and welcome to another Smaulgld live stream. Tonight is Sunday night. It is November 4th, 2018. And tonight we're going to do the second part of, in case you missed it, top gold and silver stories for the week ended November 4th, 2018. Now earlier I recorded Trouble in BRICS Land. Tropical Trump threatens China world order. That's in the process of being uploaded. This will actually get uploaded first because of the way Google uploads the live streams. So we're going to do part two, but it worked out in that part one essentially dealt with the current events portion of the program, and I have not got to yet the cryptocurrencies and the gold and silver stories. So we're going to handle those in part two live. But we'll give you a quick overview of what was covered in the first part. You can go back and check it out when it gets loaded up. That'll probably be on tomorrow morning, so you'll be able to see part two now, and then tomorrow you can check out part one. But I covered Trouble in BRICS Land, Tropical Trump threatens China's world order. We talked about the Bolsonaro presidency and how that may impact Brazil's relationship with China, because Bolsonaro is a nationalist, and he's taking a very similar view to Trump that China has been ripping off Brazil for years. So we covered that. We covered the Belt and Road issues, and we also discussed some current events, the election coming up, and so on. So you can check that out tomorrow. But tonight we're going to pick up where we left off and get into the top gold and crypto stories and silver stories for the week ended November 4th. So let's get into what we were going to cover in part one, but we cut it off, and now we're going to cover it here. So cryptocurrencies, we discussed last night, appear to be headed towards I guess what some people are calling a wall of institutional money. And that is all dependent upon whether the institutions, A, are interested, and B, if they are interested, if there is a regulatory structure, we're talking about the United States, in the United States, that will allow institutions to invest in cryptocurrencies. So A, they have to be interested, B, they have to have the structure, and currently there are no ETFs, and the rationale for, or the reason there's no ETFs is the SEC is saying that they don't think the markets are mature enough, they don't think they're large enough, can provide the liquidity. They also don't think that they have the right insight into the markets to determine whether there's manipulation going on, and they're also not comfortable yet with the storage. Now, some of the things that are on the way but have not yet hit are the BACT initiative, which is the Microsoft, the New York Stock Exchange, Starbucks, and Boston Consulting Group initiative, which would put together a trading platform to buy and sell cryptocurrencies, payment processing, storage, but that hasn't gone live yet. I don't think it's even been approved yet. Then there are the proposed trading platforms with TD Ameritrade called ErisX, and also an institutional trading platform by Fidelity. Also, both of those due next year early. Goldman Sachs is talking about a trading platform. Morgan Stanley is talking about a trading platform. None of these have hit yet. So that's why that institutional wave of money hasn't come in. Now, I'd imagine there is some interest in, I'm not saying that every institution in the world is going to allocate a certain percentage of their asset, but we do know that there's interest because the companies that are putting together these platforms and these initiatives have said that they've received that information. And indeed, the other night or the other day, Morgan Stanley released a paper saying that indeed that cryptocurrencies are a new asset class. Now, we've seen, and we're going to go through some of the things that happened during the week that outline what's going on. So this one is Goldman and billionaire Mike Novogratz are investing in cryptocurrency custodian BitGo. So this is one of the issues with not getting an ETF approved. There needs to be solid custodial works, and it looks like Goldman Sachs is sprinkling money around into crypto ventures like BitGo for custodial solutions. They are also invested in Circle, which has Circle Pay, and also owns Poloniex, a trading platform. So Goldman Sachs is definitely putting money into the crypto space without actually opening up their own platform, but they're talking about that as well. Then we also saw, just to show that there's value in this space, Bitstamp, which is a large crypto trading platform. I think it's located in Slovenia or somewhere in Central Europe, but it was purchased by a Belgian investment company during the week. We've also seen a lot of Tether type knockoffs, stable coins being launched by Gemini, which is the Winklevoss twins, US dollar coin launched by Coinbase in conjunction with Circle, which is Goldman Sachs backed. A number of these dollar backed, they're called stable coins, and the reason they're important is for trading purposes. They help the platforms operate better. There's also other stable coins that are algorithmically based. So there's a lot of money going into stable coins, and that's all for the purpose of improving the trading experience for institutions. There was actually an article in CoinDesk called "Institutions Are Coming for Your Crypto." This is something that I've been banging on about for about a year, and it seems that it's finally starting to come to fruition. I think back when one of the articles I wrote in March of 2018, a lot of the talk was about banks actually outwardly shunning cryptocurrencies, saying that they have no interest in it, or worse, you have Jamie Dimon saying that it's a fraud, it's a Ponzi scheme, he wants nothing to do with it. But we've now seen many of the banks come out from under the shadows, either directly making investments on their own behalf for their own platforms, or investing in startup companies that are doing the same. There was a story here. Goldman Sachs is signing up customers for its Bitcoin trading product. So that's a report out. We don't have verification on a lot of this stuff, but they say they've been quietly signing up customers for that program. Now, Janet Yellen during the week came out and she says she's not a fan of Bitcoin. She's also saying she would raise taxes if she can wave a magic wand. It's funny how both Obama and Yellen believe in magic wands. Now, Coinbase raised $300 million more during the week. That's their Series E round. So if you're counting, that's A, B, C, D, E. That's the 5th round of financing that they have. And this round values Coinbase at $8 billion. And it is not public. And apparently, I guess when they would go public, it would be valued at much more. But I think what Coinbase probably wants to do is get themselves a alternative, registered with the SEC as an alternative trading platform. And I think that would solidify their status as a trading platform. I also think if indeed that Coinbase became registered with the SEC as an alternative trading platform, obviously that would help the SEC get over one of its issues with approving a Bitcoin ETF, is that they would have a surveillance sharing agreement with that exchange if they were registered with the SEC, so they'd be able to know what's going on. Then the issue would be whether there's liquidity. And if there's not liquidity, well, then it doesn't matter. But I would imagine if Coinbase continues to grow and you get institutional trading on the platform, obviously there would be some type of liquidity there that would make the SEC comfortable. So it seems to be, it's a matter of time, as long as there's interest, that all the ducks get in a row for the regulatory system or regime to get set in place such that institutions can feel comfortable within their guidelines and within their risk profiles in investing small amounts of their portfolios in these cryptocurrencies. Now, during the week, there was this massive blockchain summit in Malta. Now, for those of you who don't know, Malta is an island off the coast of Sicily. It's a small island. It is part of the EU. It is a country. It's not part of Italy. And the Prime Minister is very much promoting the concept of cryptocurrencies. A lot of companies that have regulatory issues in their home countries, maybe in China or Singapore, whatever they may have an issue, a lot of them have moved to, with the encouragement of the government of Malta, to set up their businesses there. And the Prime Minister gave the keynote at the Malta Blockchain Summit. Now remember, Malta is a country, it is part of the EU. So it's not some, I wouldn't say rogue nation, but it is part and parcel of the EU. And apparently 8,500 people attended that conference. Many of the big names in the crypto space were there, John McAfee and so on. Now, Fidelity Investments has already announced that they are going to set up this institutional trading system for cryptocurrencies, and the guys in charge of it, Tom Jessop, he's saying 2019 will be a big year for cryptocurrency. Of course, he has to sell his book, but they wouldn't be doing this unless they actually thought that. And, well, normally when I do this report, I scroll through the news stories and you can actually see them in real time, but I'm not doing that tonight. So I was going to say, as you can see, but you can't see Jack because I don't have it on the screen. I'm looking at a picture of, and you'll see this tomorrow on the Smaulgld website, what I'm looking at. You can follow along there. But I'm looking at a picture of the Prime Minister giving the speech of Malta addressing the Blockchain Summit, and it says, "Welcome to Blockchain Island." That's basically what they now call Malta, which is a pretty big deal, I guess, for that country. Also, there was another conference called World CryptoCon, but the big one coming up is going to be the Consensus Invest, which we're going to talk about in a second. But Grayscale Investments has reported that institutional money continues to pour into the crypto industry, and that's Grayscale Investments. And we're seeing now that in 2016, there was only like $360 million in the institutional hedge fund space. And now that amount is creeping close to, I think it's $3 or $4 billion. So you're seeing a large amount of money. Now here they have inflows for Grayscale at $329 million this year. So clearly there is institutional interest, and I believe it's being held back because there's a dearth of regulated vehicles for them to pour their money into. Now remember, everything I'm talking about is not investment advice, nor is it an endorsement of, or I wouldn't say endorsement. It's not I'm not saying that what these companies are doing or what these entities or hedge funds or institutional investors are doing is smart or the right thing. What I'm pointing out is I believe they think it is, and as a result of them thinking it is, I think it's going to happen that more and more of these entities are going to pour money into this, because it's my belief, not whether this is a good or a bad thing, but that Wall Street needs another bubble, and the equity bubble is getting, or bull market is getting long in the tooth, and the real estate market looks like it's running out of steam, and these guys always need to have another money spinner. This one is ready built, and it looks like that's exactly what they're building towards. Now here's another one. Goldman Sachs considers providing crypto storage services. Now, I believe this is separate and apart from the BitGo. This would be attracting institutional investors to their own institutional storage system, maybe not necessarily through their investment in BitGo. So it seems that they want to be, what were they called, the squid or something? They want to have, they're laying the network, it seems, to have their hand in a lot of different crypto pies. Morgan Stanley report says hails cryptocurrency as a new institutional investment class. We mentioned that they have issued a report, and they are saying that this is a new asset that they believe people need to have an exposure to. Here's another stable coin that was released. This one is by a company called Stably, and it is dollar-backed. And remember, Tether is the one that has all the bad press. It's the one that's overseas. You can't verify the bank account. They're not sure about it. People believe that Binance uses it to manipulate the market. There's all these stories out there. I can't verify them, can't prove or disprove. It doesn't matter. The point is that they're not the only game in town, and these late raft of stable coins are actually FDIC backed, and they're regulated in the United States at the state level. So there is more to stable coins than just Tether. Breaking Bitcoin ATM operator CoinSource receives a bit license from New York's financial watchdog. Very hard to get stuff in New York. And they appear to have gotten an ATM license, a different one here. All right, what else do we got? Bakkt. Now, Bakkt we've talked about, and that hasn't launched yet. But Bakkt also could help not only bring institutions onto its own platform for trading, buying and selling and so on, but may also help the SEC get comfortable with, again, if they have a registered trading platform, it creates liquidity, and the SEC can monitor what's going on that platform. That may help with the approval of an ETF. Now, it's quite possible, but most people say not likely, that the raft of ETFs that they have up for approval, the comment period, I think, ends tomorrow. Now, they could take their time and not release a report saying why they're not going to approve it or why they are going to approve it at any time in the next few weeks. Most people are saying they're not going to approve it. Now, it's possible that they might. We don't know, but of course, if they did, then there might be a lot of movement in the space. All right, what else? Now, here's a guy, Godfather of ETF, says Bitcoin exchange-traded funds will not be approved anytime soon. So, who knows what's going to happen? I would imagine they'll get approved. It's not really a chicken-egg thing that once they approve the exchanges get more institutional interest. They have their stable coins working, and the volume is increasing, so there's liquidity, and then there's a period of time where the SEC can follow along with how the exchanges are doing. And one of the reasons they didn't approve Bitcoin ETFs 2 years ago when the Winklevoss made their first run on it was they said 80-90% of the trading happens on unregulated exchanges, and they were in China. Well, they're no longer in China, and a lot of the exchanges now have become regulated. Now, BlackRock's saying right now they're not interested in opening up a cryptocurrency ETF, but they're saying until the industry is, quote, legitimate, which they mean fully regulated, which it's not. That's a chicken egg for them there. Now, Binance, which is a trading company, has a trading platform. They opened up in Uganda. Now, they got 40,000 people to sign up. I don't know how much money they have to put in, but they did sign up 40,000 accounts. And that is what I would call the unbanked use case. They don't have bank accounts, but they do have a cell phone, and they will be able to buy and sell and hold, I guess, the cryptocurrencies on their cell phones. All right, now let's get into what we talked about last night. Just a bit of review, this Consensus Invest conference. And this ties into everything we've been talking about as to what I believe is why the SEC will eventually approve all this stuff and the institutional money will come in. So we mentioned this guy, Glenn Hutchins, is listed as a speaker, or actually CoinDesk, who runs Consensus Invest conference, which takes place November 29th. They're highlighting a one-on-one conversation between a guy named Glenn Hutchins and the chairman of the Securities Exchange Commission. Now, obviously, the guy from the Securities Exchange Commission, Jay Clayton, the chairman, isn't there to arrest everybody, as people think that's going to happen to cryptocurrencies, that they're going to arrest everybody. It's way past that. That right now is they're trying to figure out how to regulate this. They're not trying to figure out how to arrest everybody at the conference. What's interesting is the guy he's going to have this one-on-one correspondence with, or this conversation, this guy Glenn Hutchins, well, they list him as a, it just says, Jay Clayton and chairman of North Island, Glenn Hutchins, will take the stage. Now, Glenn Hutchins is this North Island is a equity fund, but I looked up Glenn Hutchins. It's the same one on Wikipedia, and then I checked it with the Fed's website. He's listed as a member of the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. Now, these are two very big top-level guys. You got the Fed and the SEC. Now, remember, the Fed and the SEC are both members of the plunge protection team. So if there's a problem in the equity markets, the president, the Treasury, the head of the SEC, and the Fed get together and try to figure out what they're going to do to boost markets back up. What do you think? Maybe I just realized that's maybe where I got the idea that they're looking at this crypto stuff as a way of boosting the markets. The plunge protection team, two members, really. It's not this guy he's a board member of the Federal Reserve, but you got a representative of the Fed, and then you've got the chairman of the SEC, who is a member of the plunge protection team, getting together to have a public talk at a cryptocurrency conference. Now, this guy, Glenn Hutchins, is also a former board member of TD Ameritrade, which we talked about is another one of the companies that is looking to do crypto trading early next year. And he's also a member of the Council on Foreign Relations. Make of that what you will. So I think that's a very big deal that they're going to be talking at the end of the year. And by then, we'll either know whether a bunch of Bitcoin ETFs have been approved, or we won't, but certainly he's going to probably be asked that question. So Glenn Hutchins is the co-founder of Silver Lake, North Island. Silver Lake, $39 billion private equity firm, member of the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, former board member of TD Ameritrade, member of the Council of Foreign Relations, having a one-on-one conversation at a crypto conference with the chairman of the SEC. And then also Bakkt will be at that conference. Bakkt is, we've talked about, New York Stock Exchange, Microsoft, Starbucks, Boston Consulting Group, and they're going to discuss market evolution. So they're going to be there along with the chairman of the SEC. We mentioned also that Mohamed El-Erian, who used to run PIMCO, he's now Alliance chief economist, one of the biggest funds in the world. And he is saying that cryptocurrencies are here to stay. Back in the summer, he was saying that Bitcoin would stabilize around $5,000. He says in his gut that might be a good buy. I think he was saying at $5,000. So he's not opposed to cryptocurrencies. And obviously he's attending a cryptocurrency conference. And he's going to be there with the New York Stock Exchange backed company Bakkt and the chairman of the SEC and this guy that is a member of the board and so on. So a lot of big players at this. Obviously, they have some interest in it. And it's not just the interest they have in it being regulatory isn't to stop it. I believe it's to figure out how they could profit from it and how it can be integrated into the mega financial system that we have. Now, that goes counter to what a lot of people think cryptocurrencies are. Cryptocurrencies are supposed to be anarcho-capitalist outside the system. People don't need banks. They don't need these middlemen. They certainly don't need trading platforms. They can do peer-to-peer trades, atomic swaps, all that stuff. Yeah, that might all go on, but I think what they're trying to do is they realize that the people might be able to do that, but the bulk of any trading is always going to be by the big money, the institutions, and they're trying to make it so that the institutions can make their money on this. Now remember, all the money made last year on ICOs, $4 billion, none of that went to Wall Street. That was all people with white papers and people pumping them on YouTube and celebrities and so on. And the SEC's gone after those. They want to register them what they think is the proper way, the way they do ICOs. File a registration statement. You hire lawyers, accountants. You pump them on Wall Street. You get them registered. You pay your fees. That's what it looks like they're looking to do. They don't have that yet, but they've set up a page, sec.gov/ICO, that looks like exactly where they're headed with this. So Mohamed El-Erian is going to speak at the crypto conference. Now, one of the things you can imagine is what they've all been doing is they never come out, and Fidelity has now, and they've been a little in the forefront for a while, saying that they want to do cryptocurrencies. They're very interested in it. Most of the big mega funds like Blackstone or BlackRock, Alliance, they act tentative. Goldman Sachs, they nibble around the edges. Now, what they do and what they say are two separate things, because you clearly can see just the fact that they attend these things means they're interested. And we also know of Goldman Sachs' investments in a lot of these companies And we've got the direct statement now from Morgan Stanley. JP Morgan is still under Jamie Dimon saying it's a fraud. He'd fire anybody. And then he almost seems to be the one bank that's out there basically saying no to this whole thing while the others are all lining up trying to get their place at the table. And I guess from JP Morgan's perspective, if they ever want to get into cryptocurrencies, they're probably taking the same view as BlackRock. Once it becomes legitimized, all they have to do, and they have a lot of people that I'm sure working on blockchain, so they have the expertise, or they can buy it, and they could just move into it whenever they feel like it. They don't have to be first. You know, they can clearly see what's going on. So I think they don't need to be the proponent for all of this. Clearly, they'll benefit from it if it becomes a Wall Street institutionalized product, and they'll be in on it. They just don't have to be on it right from the beginning, and I think they're just downplaying it for that reason. So Goldman Sachs will be also, or BitGo will be at Consensus Invest. That's the Goldman Sachs-backed company. That's the one that's working on the storage solutions. And Circle, which is the Goldman Sachs-backed company that has Circle Pay, Circle Trade, and owns trading platform Poloniex, they're a sponsor of Consensus Invest as well. So you can see all the pieces coming together, all the players coming together. And then Morgan Stanley announced plans to offer trading in complex derivatives tied to Bitcoin. Now, that's not a physically delivered one, derivative like the backed one, but still it shows that they're involved in the game. And eventually they'll probably offer both products, but who knows? What else do we got in cryptocurrencies? Well, Litecoin had a product issued by a company, Litecoin, and they allow you to trade your cryptocurrencies on Facebook Messenger. I guess if anyone wants to do that. What else did we have? We got the ATMs already taken care of. Well, SolidX and a few others, I think VanEck and ProShares are waiting on the SEC. You never know. They may have already taken all the comments they wanted to take by November 5th, and they can come out this week and shock everybody and say it's approved, or they can come out right away and say, no, we're not ready yet. And I don't think there has not been any movement in the prices over the last 6 weeks, so I don't think anyone's expecting a approval from the SEC this week. Otherwise, the share prices would be skyrocketing on the share prices, but the prices of the cryptos would be going up really fast. They're not. They don't really look like they're doing anything. And it's possible if the SEC rejects, which many people expect, that the prices may fall, but I don't think it's a... I think the only thing that could possibly happen is they surprise everyone and approve it. I would be surprised if they approved it. But one of the arguments to approve them is they could argue that, and this is what VanEck argued basically, is look, we got this, we got the storage thing set up. We think the storage is good. That the liquidity issue can be solved by getting people into the ETFs. It would just create more interest in the cryptocurrencies, and that in a sense would help solve the liquidity issue. So that may be a reason. I think one of the commissioners said something along those lines that if you want to help this ecosystem move along, it needs to have an ETF or a few ETFs, and it currently doesn't. All right, now JP Morgan, this is interesting. JP Morgan Chase to tokenize gold bars using Ethereum. They're going to use its very own blockchain, Quorum, to tokenize the gold bars. So that should give some transparency into which bars that they're holding. Crypto regulation, Ukraine Economic Development and Trade Ministry launches state policy to legalize crypto. Many, many jurisdictions have legalized cryptocurrencies. Very few have made them illegal. So you're not going to get a global view on this where all countries are going to ban it, because very few have done so. And countries like Japan, Malta, looks like Ukraine, very much in favor. United States, very much in favor of regulated cryptocurrencies. That doesn't mean they're not going to go after bad actors for money laundering, tax evasion, use to buy illegal products and so on. But I think they can grab the bulk of it under regulation, and that's essentially what makes the most sense economically for any government. What else? All right, let's move over now to gold and silver. LBMA to reveal size of London's gold market. Now, the other day I spoke with James Henry Anderson over at Silver Doctors. Go check that out. It's on the Smaulgld website, the interview with James, and also over at the Silver Doctors YouTube channel. We talk about the new LBMA and also their price target. They think the people in the LBMA, the industry, think the price is going to go to $1,532 on average over the next 12 months. That would reflect a 29% increase from today's prices. Now, I always do Bitcoin pumper, Litecoin pumper, and gold pumper, and silver pumper. The latest Bitcoin pumps are from people, they're still saying, a couple of them, that Max Kaiser too, 29, 30,000 by the end of the year. Mark Yusko, who's going to attend this Consensus Invest conference, he's saying 25,000 by the end of 2018. That's possibly on the fact that maybe they know, or they think they know, or they're projecting that a Bitcoin ETF might be approved before the end of the year, or they're thinking that Backed will be up and running, which it's projected to be. Or maybe they know that at the conference things will be announced at the end of the month, or they project that. I'm not claiming that they're claiming they have any inside knowledge, but they're pretty bold projections. I mean, to say it's going to go up fourfold and there's only 6-7 weeks left in the year. But he did put in one of his posts, he said wall of money or something like that coming. But again, that wall cannot come. A great wall of money is what he has. He's got a little rocket ship next to it. And Max Kaiser says Bitcoin black hole about to swallow huge amounts of institutional money. New all-time high incoming, 28,000 still in play. And Yusko says, I stand by what I said in April regarding Bitcoin. It's just getting warmed up, 25,000 by the end of 2018. Taken for a grain of salt, but we have to say that this time last year, in November, Bitcoin was about where it is now, and it went all the way up to 20,000. So there is precedent for it. It's not like it hasn't happened before, but this time it's happening, would be happening going the other way. All year, Bitcoin was rising from 1,000 up to 6,000, and then it hit 20,000. This year, we went from 20,000 to 6,000, and now they're saying they might expect it to just turn around and go back up to 20,000. But again, if there is something like a major regulatory hurdle cleared and that, quote, great wall of money comes in, there really aren't that many Bitcoin. And there really aren't that many other cryptocurrencies that would be able to be bought with the supposed hundreds of millions or even billions of dollars that might come in. Now, Kim.com, he gave a nice pump. He said demand for gold was up 42% year over year among central banks. U.S. dollar will collapse under pressure of unmanageable debt. It will happen suddenly. Be prepared. Buy crypto and gold. Well, central banks are responsible for very little of overall gold demand, and 70% of it came from Russia. But, keep pumping Kim.com. I don't disagree. Yes, we know the United States has a lot of debt. The world has a lot of debt. Everyone's focused on the U.S. I think what you're going to have debt collapses. A lot of them are going to be caused because they owe a lot of money that's dollar denominated. The dollar is the last one to go. They're the kingpin of the fiat debt Ponzi scheme. They're not going to go first, but Kim.com says yes, they are. What else do we got here for gold? I don't want to get into the pumping stories because, well, unless you want to hear me say game over and game changer. Let's see. I'm scrolling through gold pumper, silver. Well, that looks like that's about it for the gold. Oh, what I did earlier today, and I guess you would have missed it because it was at the first part of the show. Let's go through what happened in gold and silver during the week. It was essentially a flat price for both. You had gold at trading essentially 80 cents higher than the week before, and silver was only up 6 cents from the week before. So it was a non-event. Gold closed this past week at $12.32 and 10 cents, and the week before was $12.32 and 80 cents. Silver closed at $14.72 and is now at $14.66. It was $14.66. It was up 6 cents. So the gold-silver ratio slipped to 83.72. By the way, we didn't give you your crypto numbers for the prices of cryptocurrency. They are a bit on the move. Bitcoin at 64.19, up 1.41% over the last 24 hours. Bitcoin Cash up 10% to 541. Ethereum over $200 at 207, up 5%. Litecoin at 53.17, up 5% as well. And Ethereum Classic at 929, up 2.42%. Litecoin had been over $55 today. Ethereum at $211, and Bitcoin Cash was up to about $650, and Bitcoin was almost near 6,500. So cryptocurrencies on the move today. We'll see if, as we come closer to the end of November, early December, as these events are supposed to happen, either ETF or BACT or this conference, where there's any news there, we'll see if the prices move up. If you're going to get to $28,000, it's going to have to start moving fast. But remember, it did do that last year. It was going up $1,000, $2,000 a day, as I recall. All right, well, that's about it. Let's take a look at the comments. I've not been following the comments section. We got 31 people here, and we'll see what they have to say. Pablo Pina, he's first for the last few nights here. Hello. Andrew, hit the like button, guys. Support good content. Well, that's very kind of you, Andrew. Yes, I'm getting some very nice comments, and we're increasing the number of people that have subscribed, at least on YouTube, over 3,500. Over at BitChute, we're at a dismal 80. So if you got time to go over to BitChute and sign up there, because you never know what's going to happen to this channel. I'm not sure I say anything offensive or anyone in the comments is offensive, but you never know. They're pulling people off left and right on Twitter and on Facebook for things that I don't think are a big deal. So it's always good to be on a number of platforms. Subscribing to Smaulgld.com is also a very good idea, because then you're on the list. You get my email address. The best thing to be a Smaulgld patron or to donate to Smaulgld. This way you get direct contact, because I thank everyone who does indeed support this channel, and I do have email correspondence with my patrons. Okay, let's see. Prashanti Girls here. Hello. Pablo Pina. How do the IMF and central banks view Bitcoin? Same viewpoint as Yellen? No. In fact, what's her name? Oh, what's that woman's name? The woman, Lagarde. She gave a speech. If you type in, let me see what would happen. I covered this. I covered her whole view on it. It's Christine Lagarde. Let me just see if I put Smaulgld, what would happen. Maybe I'll give you a link there without having to explain it here. Yeah, IMF head Lagarde touts Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. I'll put a link in there right now in the chat box, and you can check it out. No, they're not all. They don't all hold the same position. They're not against cryptocurrencies. They actually think. And I also did an article published in Zero Hedge, put how central banks want to stop, I just put the link in there, how they plan to stop cryptocurrencies, and that was through their faster payments. They think that that's the issue. If you type in how central banks plan to stop cryptocurrencies, you either get my Zero Hedge article or the same article that I published on the Smaulgld website. Crypto Shrugged author, good evening, good evening. Andrew, what more could you even do to get approved for an ETF, then join up with a software giant parent company, the current exchange in New York? If that does get approved, then what could they even improve? Well, the thing is that company, Microsoft and New York Stock Exchange and Boston Consulting Group and Starbucks, haven't launched yet. So what I'm suggesting is that once they do launch, and if they do have volume and interest, then I would think that the SEC would be comfortable that there's liquidity, that's an issue, that there's a surveillance agreement with that entity so they can see the trading, and they'd be satisfied with the storage, because I think that's up to the ETF. But given that a lot of money has been put into figuring out how to store crypto assets, that the SEC would be in a position, remember, if they approve back, then they'd be in a position to approve an ETF. Don't look at crypto price in fiat, says Tossy Molotovs, except Bitcoin. Better to look at the alt price in Bitcoin. Well, that's what a lot of, and the exchanges actually, I was looking at that today, they do price the altcoins versus Bitcoin. What startled natural gas was up 5% today? Kristen Pablo Pina. All right. Andrew, yes, but it has to begin somewhere. Demanis, central banks' attempt will fail. De-dollarization is the trend worldwide, just a matter of time. Well, de-dollarization, remember, the reason that they want to de-dollarize is mostly because they're under the... It's a dual-edged sword for countries. If you have a crappy currency, you generally still save in dollars, even if you don't like the dollar, because no one wants your currency. So as much as they wish to trade in their own currencies, what they end up doing is they may trade in the currency and immediately swap out and swap it into generally dollars. So even Russia, up until a few months ago, still had, and they have no trade with the U.S., so there's no reason for them to have dollars. They still had $80–90 billion worth of treasuries. Now they got $14 billion. But the idea that this de-dollarization, dollar is toast, end of dollar hegemony, there's a lot of hype in that because the other currencies are horrible. The Chinese yuan is one of the worst currencies because they always have to devalue it. They print at will. There's no insight at all into the real finance. You think the U.S. numbers are, people don't trust them. The Chinese numbers are worse. And they have 40–50% bad debt on a lot of their state-owned banks for different industries. So the Chinese yuan has not taken off in the last 6 years. None of the central banks really hold it in any amount. It's varied from like 1% to 2% of overall central bank reserves. It's not increasing in use. It's not increasing as a reserve asset. The second biggest currency out there is the ECB's or the euro. And you all know the problems with the euro. They're doing QE at a faster rate than, or bigger, larger amount than the United States Fed did. So, and then you got Japan as the next big currency. Well, we all know the issue with Japan. Their central bank buys each and every Bank of Japan piece of a debt instrument. So when people trash the dollar, everyone's going to de-dollarize. What are they going to de-dollarize into? Now, you could say gold, but they're not. They're not using gold as a... The people that use gold, the countries that use gold, like Iran, or they're using it because they have to, or they're to evade sanctions. It's much easier not to use gold. Gold is much better suited to have as a reserve asset than to use it as a currency, because you got to ship it, you got to protect it, it's got to go on boats. It's a lot easier to use the SWIFT system. It's a lot easier to use cryptocurrency systems. Gold is the worst thing today to use as a currency. It's the best thing just to have as a reserve asset, and a lot of countries are holding a reserve assets, but the biggest reserve asset is the dollar. There's so many YouTubes out there. Everybody, dollar, end of dollar hegemony, dollar is toast, it's just a matter of time, dollar's days are numbered. All people don't know what they're talking about. They've been saying that forever because they don't realize the real world is that there is nothing else to move into, and it's really a gold pump story. Well, they're all going to use gold. They're not. We heard that with gold, back yuan, game changer, going to create tremendous demand for gold. They're going to swap. It's all a bunch of nonsense. That's not what's happening. Yes, no one likes to use the dollar if they're forced to use it. But there is no alternative right now. Have they announced when they're launching? Who? It says Presanti Girl. I don't know who's announcing what. Andrew, is Kazakhstan heavily sanctioned? No, but Kazakhstan has one of the worst currencies on the planet. The tenge, I'm told it's how you pronounce it, not the tenge. And they have a domestic gold mining production operation. Now think of it this way. If you had a crappy currency and you had a gold mine in your backyard, you would swap your currency for as much of it as you can possibly produce. And that's exactly what they do. So the reason that Kazakhstan is adding gold is it's easier for them to take their domestic gold mining supply and slap it into their central bank. Russia's the same thing. Russia's ruble is a horrible currency. So they take 80–90% of their domestic gold mining production and they stick it in the central bank. It's a lot different than them going out and buying gold with their own currency. So the countries that are adding gold are the ones that actually have it. And it makes total sense. If you have a crappy currency, we saw the other night, if you go through some of the, if you go through my videos from the last couple of weeks, you can see that in most instances, you are far better off holding and saving in precious metals than you are in your home currency. If you live in Turkey, it's foolish to save in lira. Argentina, Russia, Kazakhstan, you're far better off. You're almost up every year the last 10 years, whereas the United States, you're not. It's because the dollar is strong. All this talk about the dollar being toilet paper and weak, that's almost a function of being brainwashed and listening to too many YouTube videos and hearing only one side and just hearing it constantly. End of dollar hegemony, dollar is toast, dollar dies in dollar collapse. That story, eventually, yes, eventually every fiat currency goes to zero. And that is all I need to know. So I'm listening to the hidden secrets of whatever. Yeah, well, how many decades are you willing to wait to make that prediction and to keep saying, you know, that if you don't like dollars, send them to me. I'll take them. All right. Exactly, they will de-dollarize in the crypto fiat system in much time. Well, that's true. Now, if you look at it that way, if you want to say the entire fiat system is going down, that's far more likely than dollar collapse. Because what's going to happen, and what is happening, is you're seeing currency crises based on the fact that countries owe dollars and they owe a lot of money. You see, the United States is the most strong because if it owes money, it can print it. If Turkey owes a lot of dollars, or China owes a lot of dollars, or Argentina owns a lot of dollars, they can't print them. So they owe them. So there's a dollar shortage. That's not going to crush the dollar. So, as you say, it's possible they could de-dollarize into crypto because it's easier to trade. Like, so for example, you got sanctions on a country, and that country needs to trade. Well, what Venezuela did was they said, okay, we got this gold, we'll ship it to Turkey, and then Turkey will refine it, to hold it for us, you know, and they can work out their gold trade. It's a lot easier to not only trade with cryptos than it is with gold, but it's easier to evade sanctions. And you're not going to get held up on the high seas and pulled over and say, okay, let me check out what you got here. You're transporting gold, or in the airports, or whatever it happens to be. But I don't think that that's imminent. A lot of people think that, you know, they've been saying since 1971 it's imminent. A lot of people think that cryptos are going to end the world and all that. You may be right, but a lot of people insist that the dollar's days are numbered and the cryptos are going to do this and gold is going to do that. And there's a lot of hope attached to that. Oh, it's mathematically certain. No, it's not. All right. Prashanti girl backed. Yeah, they were talking about having that done. I think they had a launch date of December, early December. Yes, Andrew, she's referring to back. That's when they announced. They did announce it, but I think it's subject to approvals. So a lot of these people may even know that a lot of the stuff has already been approved. Maybe that's why they're making these ridiculous price predictions. I don't make price predictions because I don't even know if these things are approved, whether it's going to have an impact. It should, but I don't know if it will. A lot of times you say, well, it's already priced in. Maybe the reason that Bitcoin didn't go down to 1,000 or 2,000 and has been staying at 6,000 is because it's already priced in all these things are going to happen. So that's why I don't make predictions. I just point out what's happening and what might happen. And I'm not advising anyone to do anything on this. It's just, here's the information. All right. Waiting costs you an opportunity cost when you only sit in metals. Well, yeah, but that's also like saying having an insurance policy and paying the premium every month is an opportunity cost because you could be investing that money. I mean, the reason you have them, if you have precious metals because you think it's going to set to skyrocket, well, that's probably a mistake. If you have it because you're worried that there's going to be some type of event and you're going to want to have a hard asset, well, that's different. Pablo Pena, can you please elaborate more into the JP Morgan coin backed by gold? How will it play into the public market? Will the coin be more alluring to the... No, they're not. you're talking about the story that I read earlier. They're not gonna issue a coin. They're gonna tokenize. It sounds like, let me find it here. It sounds like they're going to track their gold holdings that way. I don't think they're gonna issue. I don't think it sounds like a gold. What's the word? A gold cryptocurrency. Let me just see. I'll get you that one. I don't think that's what they're talking about. They're going, I'm going to read it to you here. They're going to tokenize the gold bars. It says, we're the only financial player that owns the entire stack from application to protocol. It's going to use its own blockchain, Quorum, to tokenize gold bars. They're going to use smart contracts. I think it's going to be it sounds like it's a way of trading and tracking the gold. So basically it's tokenized assets. But I don't think it's a sense where the gold goes up and the price of the token goes up and down. The token just reflects your ownership interest in that gold, and then you can transfer it through the distributed ledger. And then you don't have to have the broker because it's run through smart contracts. That's how I read what they're talking about. So it's not the same thing as you're buying and holding a token and hoping it goes up. You're getting your ownership interest this way, and then you can trade your ounces of gold back and forth on the blockchain, and I think that's how it works. I don't have much details on it. They did it through, they said, the Ethereum Enterprise Alliance. So as that one develops, I don't think it's a major development. I think it's just more bookkeeping than anything else. So another way of doing, I suppose, over-the-counter, person-to-person, peer-to-peer trading than it is any type of doesn't create new demand for gold, or it doesn't create demand for tokens. It just facilitates the trading process is how I read it. We'll have to see where that goes. It will be crypto, but called dollars, USDT, USDC, etc. Yeah, that's definitely the Manus. That's definitely a possibility. Pablo Pina, like a new system. Correct. All right, everyone. Well, I want to thank you for joining. If you haven't got your Smaulgld mug, I have them, looking at them right now. I can mail them out in the morning. I mailed the shipment out on Saturday, and got 2 to send out tomorrow. So if you want to get on that order, go to smaulgld.com. You can get the classic and super classic mugs. They come with the free shipping. It's priority shipping. The shipping is like $9 or $10, but it's included in the price. The classic mug is $19.99, and the super classic, which is got the red inside, that's $23.99. And then also you can go over to the Smaulgld store if you want the travel mug. I don't ship those out myself. They get shipped from the manufacturer, or the espresso mug. And then there's also other Smaulgld branded items for the office. There's t-shirts, hats, and so on. But I just gave you the link. And then here's your Smaulgld mug. Just go to smaulgld.com, but you can click off the link here. Also, if you're interested in buying precious metals, you can do so through the Smaulgld site. We have affiliate agreements with SD Bullion, Money Metals Exchange, and Golden Eagle Coins. And if you buy, Smaulgld gets a small commission. Not investment advice to buy gold or silver. But if you're going to do so, you can help out the site. You can compare pricing and shipping, and you pay no more, no less if you click on those links and if you went to those sites directly on your own. All right, everyone. Thank you very much for tuning in tonight. Back again tomorrow, I hope. Tomorrow, tomorrow, yeah, we'll probably do, try maybe a little earlier tomorrow, around 7. We'll see. I'll post the time for tomorrow. But thank you very much for joining me, and we'll see you tomorrow.